So I've got all of my Erin pieces for view A all cut out, and we are going to get started. So you guys know, if you've ever watched one of my sew-alongs, I like to give you some tips in my sew-alongs to help you go even faster in your sewing. So I've got my sleeve here on top, so I'm going to start with that one. Right sides together, I'm going to pin my sleeves. So we're going to pin as much as we can so that we have less back and forth from the sewing machine to the table. I'm going to set my neck binding to the side. I'm going to grab my pocket. And what we're going to do on the pocket is fold down 1/4 inch. Your wrong side should be facing up. Fold down about 1/4 inch and then fold 1 inch. So you should have the raw edges of the top of your pocket all tucked in. And it does help if you want to go ahead and press this to keep it in place. It does help. I'm going to give mine a quick press before I hop on over to the sewing machine. Okay, so we're circling back around to the beginning of the instructions. So I'm going to start with my pocket. From the wrong side, make sure everything's pressed and that the raw edge is turned under nicely. And then from the right side, you can top stitch about 1/8 inch inside the folded edge of that pocket. And from the right side, you can feel where that folded edge is. So just top stitch right inside of there. And I'm using a white thread so you can see what I'm doing. And repeat that on the other side, on the other pocket. Next, we're going to grab our sleeves and sew that seam, 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now we're going to attach our pocket to the side front. Grab your side front on the right side. Grab your pocket. And you're going to place your pocket, the wrong side of your pocket, to the right side of your side front. So you should be looking at both right sides. And so you're going to be pinning your pocket to the side front at the pocket placement line. And this is where your hands are going to go in the dress. And then you're going to stitch all the way around the side, the curved edge, and back up the other side. We're going to leave the opening. Obviously, that's where your hand goes. But we're going to stitch there at 3/8 inch seam allowance. We've got our pocket here. We're going to do this on the other side. I'm going to set my sleeves aside and I'm going to grab the front of my dress and the side front. And with the front of the dress right side spacing, I'm going to pin my side front to that curve, matching the notches. Once you've got those sides pinned, we're going to sew these seams at the sewing machine. So now that you've got the front of the dress put together, press those seam allowances open that you just sewed. And now we're going to clip along these curved seams. So about every inch or so, take some scissors and you want to clip to your stitching line, not through it. Don't break the stitching. And about every inch or so, you want to clip that seam allowance. And what this does, it helps that curved seam press and lay really flat. This dress is all about clean lines. And even looking at it, you'll see that seam allowance relax and you'll see that seam lay a lot flatter, which is going to give you a nice clean look on the outside of your dress. So press that seam allowance, finish the raw edges, and we're going to attach the front to the back. We'll grab the back of your dress, right side facing. We're going to pin across the shoulders and the side seam. We're going to sew along the side seam, across the shoulder, and back down the other side seam. Now go to your ironing board, press all of these seams that we just sewed flat and finish your raw edges. And then we're going to move to the sleeves. Next up, we're going to sew the sleeves to our dress. My dress is wrong side out. My sleeve is right side out. And I'm going to insert my sleeve into the armhole, matching the underarm seam, and pinning there. And then I stuff my sleeve in. And I'm matching the notches with the double notch towards the back of the dress and the single notch towards the front. And I just pin all the way around. And the notch at the top of the sleeve head will match up with the shoulder seam. And just evenly distribute the little extra ease when you're pinning. There, switch sides with the camera because I was losing light. And repeat on the other side with the remaining sleeve. When you're finished sewing in your sleeve, press the seam allowances, snip into the seams about 1 inch, all the way around, press, finish the raw edges. Next, we're going to move to the neckline binding. Grab your dress, and you're going to open out one side of your bias tape and pin, fold over actually. So keep one end of your bias tape along the long edge folded, and then you're going to fold over about 1/2 inch and align that folded edge with your shoulder seam and pin. Okay. And then just continue to pin your tape around your neckline. Now, when you get back around to the beginning, you should have some overlap, about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, but you want to have overlap. Okay. You're going to lay that overlap flat over the original folded edge. So now that that's stitched, if you find that your bias tape and your neckline of your dress seam allowances are not even, then go ahead and trim them to be even, okay? And because remember, we didn't sew this at any particular seam allowance, we just wanted to make sure that the seam allowance, that we were sewing within the crease of that tape. So after you've done that, take your scissors and we're going to clip into that neckline all the way around about 1 inch, just as we have been for all of the other curved seams that we've been sewing. And now you can go ahead and fold your tape to the inside of your dress. If you're finding that the bias tape does not fold over smoothly and evenly, then you may need to trim your seam allowances to about 1/4 of an inch. It just depends on what you had to trim in this step before. So just fold over your tape to the inside, making sure everything is tucked in, looking nice and neat, and pin, and we're going to baste that together. Back at the sewing machine, from the wrong side of your dress, we're going to baste that tape in place, and then once we've sewed a row of basting stitches, we're going to flip the dress out to the right side and sew our actual top stitching to make our bias tape neckline look really, really neat. And once you have sewn that row of top stitching, then you can simply just pick out your basting stitches with your seam ripper. And lastly, you want to turn up and press your hems on your sleeves and on the bottom of your dress. Make sure that it is pressed very neatly, and you are done.